Hello, this is a test correction for prime factorization. This is 4 questions on your test that you needed to know. So I'm going to go over the questions. Make sure that you have the correct section before you get started. You do need a sheet of paper to show all of the work and also explain your mistakes. So make sure you have that before you continue with this recording. Okay, so on your sheet, make sure you have the test corrections as your title and also prime factorization. On one side, you're going to put my answer, right answer, work. So you're going to show all your work on this side, which means it's everything that I do. You're going to also write it here. And then on the other side, you're going to explain in words, not in problems, in words, what you did incorrectly. And then we could go ahead and give you credit for all of this. So go ahead and separate your paper, title it, and then move on. Okay, so here's the first one. It says Leon wrote an expression that is equivalent to 30 plus 6 divided by 12. Which expression could be the one Leon wrote? So in this case, what you would do first is solve the first problem. And you're going to solve each answer choice in order to help you out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first and then see which one it will equal to that. So here we have 30 plus 6, and 30 plus 6 is 36. And 36 divided by 12 is going to give us 3. Remember, you have to use PEMDAS. If you're not using PEMDAS, then you are going to make mistakes on this. So I'm going to go ahead and start with letter A. So now letter A has division and multiplication. Now remember, when you're using PEMDAS, you need to make sure that you are doing multiplication and division from left to right. Then addition and subtraction from left to right. Since there's no parentheses, then I'm going to go ahead and skip that. There's no exponents, I'm going to skip that, so we're going straight to multiplication and division. So in this case, since 36 divided by 3 is first, I know that's going to be 12. So 36 divided by 3 is 12. We're going to do that first. So I'm going to cross that out. Now it's going to be 12 times 4, which is 48. So because 48 is not the same as 3, then I know A is not my answer. Let's go ahead and go to B. B, you have parentheses. So we're going to do parentheses first. And remember, we're doing multiplication and division from left to right. These are all multiplications, so we're going to do the first two numbers first. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then you multiply 9 times 4, which is 36. Then you go ahead and continue on. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. And then 9 times 3 is going to give you 27. So 27 is not the same as 3. So then B is not my answer. Let's go on to C. Now C, same thing, we're looking to see. We're going to go ahead and solve it with using order of operation. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Now if you notice, we have multiplication first. There's no parentheses, there's no exponents, so we're skipping those steps. So multiplication is 30, then plus another multiplication, that's 6. And then divided by 3, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And 4 times 2 is 8. So now we have 30 plus 8, and that's going to equals 38. So in this case, 38 is not the same as 3, so that is the wrong answer. Now the last one, we're doing the same thing, and we're going to go ahead and figure out which one is, if it's correct. Even though we already looked at all the possible choices, we still need to make sure that that's the correct one, because maybe we made a mistake on the other one. So let's go ahead and find what that is. So parentheses first. So first, left to right, left to right. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18, and 18 times 2 is 36. Okay, so we have that. Then we have divided by, but we have parentheses, so we still need to do that first. So in this case, we're going to do 3 times 3, 3 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So that means I have 36 divided by 12, and in this case, that is going to be 3. So because this is the same answer, then I'm going to say my letter is D. So make sure you're showing all this work. You have to give yourself space to do all of this. Make sure that if you need to stop the video to show your work, make sure you're doing that. And also right now, after you finish showing your work, make sure you are actually explaining what your mistakes were. Make sure that you're doing that, because if you don't do that, there is no credit for just showing what I just did. So go ahead and stop the video and then start it when you're ready to go. Okay, so this problem is similar to what we were doing before. We're going to go ahead and solve it and then see which one is the correct answer. So see, here we have 16 plus 2 times 36. So it says which expression is equivalent to that. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and follow PEMDAS. Remember, it's parentheses exponents, multiply and divide left to right, and add and subtract left to right. So we're going to start with solving this first. So you have 16 plus 2 times 36 is 72. So let's do that. Okay, so 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 72. And then 72 plus 16, that's going to give you 88. So now we need to see which of those answer choices gives you 88. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So remember, when you're looking at these questions, especially with those exponents, you need to show it in expanded form, because that will make it easier to solve. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start over here on the side. I'm going to move this a little bit to the side. So let's go ahead and start with 2 to the 4th power. So, and we're doing all the exponents first. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Then we have 2 times 2 is 4. And then 4 times 4 is 16. So this is 16 plus 2 times 3, 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2, that's going to be 8. So that's going to be plus 8. And then we have times 3 to the 2nd power. So 3 times 3 is going to be 9. So this is times 9. So then if we add it up, we have to do multiplication first. So 16 plus 8 times 9 is 72. And 16 plus 72, that looks the same as this. So I'm going to see, I'm not sure, this might be correct, but I still want to check my answers. So if you notice, most of them have the same thing. So you have 2 to the 3rd power, which was this one. So I know this is 8, plus 2 to the 3rd power, that's 8, and 3 to the 2nd power, that is 9. And if you do 8 plus 8 times 9 is 72, that does not look the same. So then that means that's not correct. Let's go with the next one. 2 to the 4th power, it's up here, so that's 16, plus 2 to the 2nd power. Well, 2 times 2 will give you 4, so that's going to be 4, times 3 to the 2nd power, which was 9, so that's 9. So when you multiply it, 16 plus 4 times 9 is 36. So they don't look the same as this. So then that's not correct. And then the last one, you have 2 to the 3rd power, which is 8, plus 2 to the 2nd power, which was 4, and 3 to the 2nd power, which was 9. And when you do that, that's 8 plus 4 times 9 is 36. And again, doesn't look like the first one. So if you notice, this is not it. So my correct answer is A. So when you solve them and you take them one at a time, it helps you see the answer. Even though we didn't look at all the 88, the final answer, but just looking at what you're adding tells you which one's the correct one. So go ahead and show all the work. Make sure you stop it in between if you have to do that. Make sure that you're showing everything, and then go ahead and explain what your mistakes were. And then go on to stop the video and go on to the next problem. Okay, so what is the prime factorization of 110? So before we even start working to see what the prime numbers are, or the prime factors are for 110, let's look at our answer choices to see if any of them have composite numbers. So I know A is 5 is a factor and 11 is a factor, so those are both prime. B is 2 is a factor and 11 is a factor, so they're both prime. C, 5 is a prime number, which is a factor, and 22 is not a prime number. It's a composite. So I've already eliminated C. And then D, you have 2, which is prime, 5 is prime, and 11 is prime. So all of those are the ones that we're looking at, and we're making sure that they're not composite numbers. Now we could go ahead and do our factor tree. So with our factor tree, we know that 11 times 10 is 110. So I know 11 is a prime number. So I know 10 is a composite number. So I'm going to go ahead and continue branching out. To get 10, I have 2 times 5. So I know 2 is a prime number, and 5 is a prime number. So basically, I cannot branch out anymore. So that is my final prime factors. So all I have to do is write them out as 2 times 5 times 11. And if you notice, none of them have exponents. So A, there's an exponent, so that's wrong. B, there's an exponent, that's wrong. And C and D, we already have it, and that's the only one that looks the same. So my answer is going to be D. So make sure you go and show all your work and explain what you did incorrectly, and then come back to the video. So number 5 says, Mr. Gonzalez showed students part of the prime factorization of 90. One factor is missing. What number completes this prime factorization? Record your answer and fill in the bubble on your answer document. Be sure to use the correct place values. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and do our factor tree. Now, I know that if I expand that, I know it's going to be 2 times 3 times 3. Now, if I really wanted to, I know I could actually just multiply it and see what's left over. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to show you the factor tree. So I know we're going to go left to right. So 2 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18, and times something will give you 90. Well, one way to do that is actually to divide. So we're going to divide. So 90 divided by 18. So I don't know how it is. That's a little too hard for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do the prime factorization. So what's 90 when you're doing two factors? And in order for me to know, I know 9 times 10 actually are my prime numbers. So now I know 9 is 3 times 3. So I know 3 times 3 is 3 to the second power, so I've got that already. Now 10 is 2 times 5. And if I look at my original sentences, there's a 2, but what's missing? So these are accounted for except 5, so that means my missing number is 5. Well, in order for me to check, since I already had solved this, I'm going to go ahead and do 18 times 5. So 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9. So that means I have the correct answer, so my answer will be 5. So either way, the way you're doing this, you could use a factor tree to show your answer, or you could actually multiply it and divide it to find the answer. So, or you could use both like I did. So go ahead and show your work, and then if you did get this wrong, make sure you are explaining what you did wrong, and then move forward with this video. Okay, now you've done your test corrections. You will be turning those in with your test. You keep that and do the retest, because that way it will help you. It's kind of like notes to help you with those questions that you're having. And if you notice, I'm going to show you something. If you look at the first one, it says 144 is 2, and then it has an arrow. When you have 2 with an arrow and then a 3, that means that actually is done as 2 to the third power. This arrow here shows you that that's your exponent. So whenever you have an arrow between two numbers, say for instance, if I have 5, arrow up, and then it's 2, actually it should be in the same size, 2, that means it's 5 to the second power. So make sure you remember that as you're taking your test, your retest, because that's going to help you out to make sure you understand what exponents you're looking at. So make sure that you are looking, going through your notes as you're taking the test, because that's going to help you throughout the test. Remember, if you do the test corrections completely and correctly, you get already a 70%. Once you do your retest, then you get 10 points for every correct answer to give you up to 100 if possible. So make sure you do your best, and good luck on your test.